Hey, and welcome to All Things Social Security. My name is Stephanie Joy of Joy Disability, and you're about to see a piece of what goes on with our Wednesday live Q&A session. It's a live stream on this channel every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It gives you an opportunity to ask questions and have them addressed on the spot on a first come, first served basis. Otherwise, I also want to welcome you to the channel generally. We have our 12 noon newer time frame, that is, shares of video tips and goings on that occur in the midst of any workday on Social Security and SSI matters, as well as beneficiary matters and other things that go on in our workday that we feel often helps claimants who are pro se and or have a representative, but it's just some information they want to get a better grasp on. So we share them here every day, and I welcome you to join us every day at noon. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Matthew says, I got my PFD for SSDI in January of 2025. At that time, SSA said 7 to 9 months for an entitled decision. Oh, protective filing? Okay. I think that's maybe what you're saying. I had to finish it on paper app because online app locked me out. Then Madison, Wisconsin SSA office got it on. Okay. I'm not sure if there's a question there, Matthew, but it sounds like they finally got in the full. You're protected back to January, which is great. It's as if you filed in January, even though you didn't get all your stuff until May. That's good. At that time, Madison office said that nobody had been assigned to my case yet, but that I could send in supporting documents via fax. So does that mean the 7 to 9 months estimate for initial? No. An estimate just means that's something they have on paper, like most of them are taking this. That means some are taking a lot longer. And if you don't have an adjudicator, then no one's working up your case. They haven't ordered the records yet. I would keep a running list of everything you submit. I believe you can submit those medical records. If you have them digitally in your device, you can go to your ssa.gov and upload them there potentially. I'm not sure you can. Yeah, I don't know at what point that comes in. When you do get an adjudicator, keep a list of everything you said you sent in and keep copies because they might never make it to that file. Just saying. Yeah, protective filing is just to protect your filing date so that your benefits before that date, should you have been found disabled before that date, can be paid as payable. If your SSD application date was May, then we found you disabled as of May, you would have 5-month waiting period where you're unpaid. Going back to January, they can go back 12 months of benefits that could be paid you, should it be that they find you have an onset at least 12 months before then. So that's the beauty of the protective filing. It can actually save you many months of back benefits that would not be payable to you, even if you prove you were disabled during those months, because they never pay more than 12 months before the date of application. You got it clinched as of January instead of May. So that's good. That's good. So just because I received an SSA 3373 to fill out doesn't mean that somebody's been assigned to my case. No, I would say that usually comes from the adjudicator. Now, sometimes I'll see a cover letter where there's no adjudicator's name and it just says the DDS. So it makes me wonder if that DDS office is automatically shoving them out, even when there's not an adjudicator. But I don't think so, because they're just going to have to make you do one again in 6 months if it takes that long to get an adjudicator. So I do tend to think that there is an adjudicator if you get the 3373. That 3373 cover letter has a phone number on it. I suggest you call it and find out. Matthew says he understands how the protective filing date protects his back pay or when his application started. My question is, does it also hold? There isn't. No, it doesn't, because you never got your whole application. They couldn't ever push you forward. Like, you waited till May, not your fault, to get the rest of the paperwork in. That all the same steps have to be taken. So they're not going to jump you ahead of someone else who had all their stuff in before you did. You know, adjudicator, even if your SSA office is the slow one, Matthew, and they don't get you processed and everything for 8 months, and then you get an adjudicator, the protective filing is only about what you just mentioned. It's not about giving you precedence over, someone else who got their stuff in before you because they didn't have a protective filing date. You know what I mean? Oh, ICP user, and then a name and a phone number. Yeah, just call. Just call. No, I know you didn't wait. It was all that blundering because their system shut you out. I totally get it. But the point is, it is the way it is. You don't get to, the protective filing is for a totally different reason. Hey there, that was one of our little Q&A clips. I hope you found it informative or helpful or just enjoyable. I am attaching a related video that we have put together a while back that is on a similar topic and or an extension of what we were just talking about. So if you needed some more information on that, that's a place to start. You can also look in our playlists. There is a ton of them. I think there's over 1,000 videos. So there's almost every topic in the world touched upon in some way, shape, or form. And again, as a reminder, you can always put in the comments any kind of question you have, even if it's unrelated to this or any other video. I will talk to you later. Carry on. Good evening. Okay, so this is just a quick little explanation of what a protective filing is and why it is good for probably most claimants, or very many anyway. Okay, so generally, you have not applied for Social Security Disability or SSI until you have completed all of the mandatory parts of an application. Sometimes it's hard to know what those things are. Sometimes it requires an actual hand-signed application before they will consider it actually filed. So it's kind of hard to know when. So the thought here is, if you get a protective filing, it gives you time to get all that stuff together and get it mailed to them if you're mailing it. If you are, you want to file, you believe you're eligible, like in terms of you're not working SGA anymore, and to decide whether you are working SGA, I suggest you look at the video on that, because you might be working part-time and not be working SGA. And if you are severely impaired, and that's why you're working part-time and not full-time, you might very well have an ability to argue a onset date of disability, months ago, feasibly. Because remember, the SSA will pay up to 12 months of benefits for people they find disabled if they were disabled up to 12 months before the date they applied, and they assert that that was their, when they became disabled. So even if you're working part-time, you can still be disabled. So if you think you're going to be filing, and if you have not been working, full-time, I wouldn't be doing this when you're still working full-time or making more than SGA, which is $1,470 per month gross. There are some unusual exceptions that you can ask about if you need to. But if you are working more than that, you're likely not eligible to file because you're working SGA, and that is one of the first questions we have to pass before we can have an application taken. But if you are working something less than that, or not working at all, and you have these severe impairments, and that's why you're not more out and about working and otherwise, you can get a protective filing date now for this month. And what that means is, gives you time to breathe and think about whether you're going to file. Not forever, but some time, and I'll get to that in a minute. It also gives you time to, if you're going to do it online, figure out where you're going for that, read all their stuff, get all your information together to make that application. Or if you're going to be getting an attorney to help you along the way, it might give you time to get one. This is particularly important at the end of a month, where if you don't move fast, you're going to lose, let's say it's April. Well, what are we in now? May. You could lose May as being, or 12 months ago, if you were disabled 12 months from today, that one is about to scroll off the board as ever being collectible. So if you had a protective filing for now you protected May. Let's say you weren't going to get your application in for 4 months because it's a lot of paperwork. But you had a protective filing date now. When you finally got your application and everything required for that first step in, they can count May as being the date you applied and not June, July, August, September. Because again, it's particularly important for those that have prior back months where they could have applied. It turned out they weren't earning too much. And they did have the severe medical problems that they found to be disabling from full-time work. Those things can now be paid because you stopped the blood flow, so to speak, of all those months scrolling off the board because you haven't applied. Because again, the retroactive payments, should you prevail, will never be more than 12 months worth of payments before the date you applied. So that protective filing date clinches that application date now when you get it. It's very easy to go get. You can go to ssa.gov, follow the buttons, links for applying for disability, and start the actual application. You don't have to put anything too heady in. You just have to get in there, get the accurate information that connects you, like the real name on your Social Security card, Obviously, Social Security number. I think they ask for your date of birth. They probably ask for your address. It's very few questions though, and it will connect you in there, and then it'll pop you up with a reentry number, and that's going to protect your filing. You're going to want to print that, save that. But that protective filing now, you have 6 months to get the rest of your Social Security disability application in. Not 6 months in a day, 6 months. So take the deadline seriously of the protective filing. If you don't file it fully and get everything in that time, you will have caused your protective filing to expire. And now you're going to want to get another one. And hopefully you didn't lose too many months that scrolled off the back end. If it's an SSI claim, not an SSD claim, you have 60 days. So that will protect you for 60 days. So you have to actually hustle more to get that SSI signed application in. They're going to generally on SSI want to call you sometimes and get you to attest to the application and certain information. You might need to go through that phone call. That's not really clear, but you can put in a paper application and give them the basics, and that will be the application filed anyway. If you've done it properly, signed it, sent it in, and send it in certified mail return receipt requested, or UPS or FedEx, some way you have tracking so you can prove that you got it to them within the 60 days. Very, very, very important. Broken deadlines are not taken lightly with the SSA. Okay. So paper trail that you did so. Protective filing. I almost think there's never a harm in getting one. If you decide you're not going to file, or that you're not eligible, or for any other reason, you can let it expire. No harm, no foul. It's not going to hurt you. Not getting one can hurt you because, again, it can cost you a ton of back benefits. Okay. It's thousands and thousands of dollars. So let's get to it with the protective filings. And remember, always print out your proof of the protective filing. If you don't have internet access and you can't get on there and start that application to go through those first few questions to get that reentry number, which you would then use to get back in, you can actually contact the SSA. You just want to have that paper trail proof you did so. I would suggest doing it by letter and faxing it, as well as sending it certified mail, saying that you intend to file. That itself would be a protective filing. But again, I can't emphasize enough, the sun is really getting to me, that you have to have proof that you did it, because if they say they never received, you want to have proof that they did, because the burden's going to be on you. Okay. So protective filings, super, super important, saves you a lot of money, creates a lot of back benefits for you, and you're not going to want to miss it. Okay. All righty. Take care now.